Are you ready for the new day?
Imagine a website that looks exactly like it did in 1995.
Oh, wow. Yeah, the dial-up era.
Right,
Yes.
exactly. Like there are no fancy algorithms feeding you this, endless addictive timeline.
No auto-playing videos screaming at you.
Exactly, none of that. It is just plain text, basic blue hyperlinks, and a really stark white background.
Just bare bones functionality.
Yeah, and yet this incredibly primitive-looking page somehow managed to generate 20 billion page views a month.
That's a staggering number.
Right, it ranked as the 33rd most visited website on the entire planet, and it minted countless local entrepreneurs along the way.
Which is really the fascinating part.
It is. So today, we are tearing down the hidden mechanics of Craigslist
Oh.
alongside two other massive platforms to figure out how people are actually using them to, buy their freedom.
It's really the ultimate paradox of the internet age, I think.
How so?
Well, we just assume that to make a full-time living online, you need cutting-edge technology.
Right, complex coding skills.
Exactly. Coding or a massive marketing budget. But when you look at the fundamental architecture of these specific platforms, they're essentially just modern digital versions of very ancient human behaviors.
Or just like trading and stuff.
Right. Trading goods, providing basic services, and, telling stories. The technology is just the vehicle for that.
And that brings us to the core mission of our deep dive today.
Which is a very important mission for everyone listening.
Yeah, absolutely. We are breaking down the frameworks laid out in Dan Allen's guide, Making Money for Beginners.
It's a really interesting source text.
It is. And the entire goal of our conversation right now is to help you, yes, you listening to this right now, understand how to escape the traditional 9-to-5 rat race.
Because that's the dream, isn't it?
It is. So, okay, let's unpack this, because we are absolutely not going to just sit here and toss around, vague inspirational quotes about being your own boss.
No, we need mechanics. We need actual steps.
Right. We are going to critically analyze the exact step-by-step blueprints provided in this material, but we are going to look at it through a very specific lens, which is the evolution of leverage.
Leverage it's just the perfect framing for this whole discussion.
Because it's not about luck.
Exactly. The underlying philosophy of the source material is that success on any marketplace is never about luck. It's never a lottery ticket.
Right. You're not just hoping someone buys your stuff.
No, it is entirely about understanding the specific mechanics, the psychological triggers, and the hidden structural rules of the platform itself.
Right.
Because if you understand the system, you can build leverage within that system.
Makes sense.
So we are going to look at physical leverage, temporal leverage, which just means how you use your time, and finally, scalable media leverage.
Let's start with the most tangible, oldest form of leverage, which brings us right back to that 1995 website.
Good old Craigslist.
Yeah, we're starting with Craigslist. It is the digital equivalent of physical local trading.
If you think about the old physical newspapers from decades ago.
Like the actual broadsheets.
Right, the actual printed papers. They always had a classified section in the back.
Oh, yeah, where people sold used cars and stuff.
Exactly. It was a place where ordinary people in a local town could pay a few dollars to a publisher to list a used bicycle or, a lawnmower or a sofa for sale.
Right.
And Craigslist just took that exact concept, digitized it, stripped away all the geographical limitations of print distribution, and crucially made the core product completely free.
Which is insane when you think about it. The scale of that disruption is just hard to overstate.
Truly.
Like the material points out that Craig Newmark started this as a simple email distribution list in San Francisco.
Just a local email list.
Yeah. And by the year 2000, it had only spread to 9 cities.
It's still pretty small at that point.
Right. But then the network effect took hold.
Oh, the network effect is everything.
Because when you have a platform where all the buyers know exactly where all the sellers are and sellers know where the buyers are, the growth just becomes exponential.
It creates a self-sustaining loop.
Exactly. But what I find most fascinating about this whole thing is the business model.
It's very unique.
Like, how does a company host 20 billion page views without charging the average user a single cent? I mean, server costs alone must be astronomical.
Well, the business model is really a masterclass in targeted friction.
What do you mean by friction?
Friction just means fees or hurdles. So it is completely free for everyday users. You and I can buy and sell used furniture or video games or bicycles all day long for $0.
Right. I've never paid to list a couch.
Exactly. The platform subsidizes this massive free exchange by only applying friction, so charging fees, to highly lucrative specific categories.
Oh, okay. Like what?
Well, for example, the material notes that an advertiser posting a job listing might pay $75 in the San Francisco Bay Area.
Because there's so much tech money there.
Exactly. But they might only pay $10 in New York City. They look at the economic density of a specific city and a specific category, like real estate or job recruitment, and they apply a toll booth only there.
That's brilliant.
The rest of the platform just runs as a free public utility.
Which lowers the barrier to entry to absolute zero for someone just starting out, right?
$0, yes.
Like, getting set up is incredibly basic. You select your country, your state, your local city, you verify an email address, you create a password, and boom, you are immediately participating in the global market.
Within minutes.
But and there's a big but here. Because the barrier to entry is zero, the quality control can be terrifying, honestly.
It's the Wild West.
It is an open frontier. There are fake ads, aggressive software bots scraping the site, scammers.
It's a real issue.
So how does a system with barely any visual updates since the 90s actually police itself?
It relies heavily on decentralized community policing.
Meaning the users do the work?
Exactly. Instead of employing an army of thousands of content moderators, Craigslist uses a simple flagging system.
Right. I've seen that little flag button.
Yeah, so if you see an ad that is clearly a scam or is selling something prohibited, any user can just click that flag button.
Okay.
And when a listing crosses a certain algorithmic threshold of flags within a specific time frame, the system just automatically removes the ad.
So they don't even have to look at it.
No, it relies on the collective self-interest of the users to keep their own digital neighborhood clean.
That's smart. But the bots are the real annoyance for a new seller.
Oh, absolutely. Bots are everywhere.
There is a brilliant, highly specific tactic mentioned in the material regarding personal safety and privacy here.
Yes, the phone number trick.
Right, because when you list an item, you have to provide a way for people to contact you. And if you just type out your phone number normally, like 222-222-2222, you are going to be overwhelmed with spam calls within, minutes.
Because the internet is just crawling with automated programs designed to do exactly one thing, which is scrape web pages for data.
Just sucking up numbers.
Exactly. These bots are programmed to look for specific character patterns. They look for 3 digits, a dash, 3 digits, a dash, and 4 digits.
All right.
And once the bot identifies that pattern, it copies the number and instantly adds it to a massive database that gets sold to telemarketers or phishing scammers.
Which is why you get those awful robot calls about your car's extended warranty.
Exactly.
So the material suggests this beautifully low-tech solution to break the bot's programming.
I love this part.
Yeah, you use a mix of numbers, spelled out words, and symbols. So you write the number 2, then the word TWO, then the number 2 again.
Yeah.
So it reads visually as 222 dash word 2, number 2, word 2.
It is just a perfect example of human pattern recognition versus machine logic.
Yeah, because a human being reading that listing instantly translates the word 2 into the digit.
Right. They know exactly what to dial on their phone. It causes zero friction for the real buyer.
But the bot gets confused.
Exactly. A standard scraping bot, which is just following a rigid set of programming rules, hits those letters, gets confused, fails to recognize the string as a phone number, and just skips right over it.
That is so cool.
You protect your privacy by simply speaking a language the machine does not understand.
I have to admit that is incredibly clever. So, okay, your account is live, your phone number is protected from the scrapers. Now we really need to talk about the actual mechanics of generating cash.
The fun part.
Yes. The overarching strategy outlined here is, quote, niche flipping.
Right.
And flipping simply means acquiring an asset below market value and selling it at or above market value. Simple enough.
Buy low, sell high.
Exactly. And the material specifically recommends targeting heavy home appliances, laundry machines, vacuum cleaners, refrigerators.
Heavy metal.
Yeah, but here is where I'm going to push back pretty hard on this premise.
Okay, let's hear it.
If the entire goal of this deep dive is to help someone who is broke escape the 9-to-5, how on earth are they supposed to start a business if they have to go out and buy a bunch of expensive washing machines first?
Right.
The upfront capital requirement just seems like a massive roadblock for the average person.
Yeah.
Not to mention the physical danger of going to strangers' houses, the cost of renting a truck, and the potential of buying a machine that is completely dead.
Those are all entirely valid concerns, and honestly, they address the exact reason why most people never start.
Because it's scary and expensive.
But this is where the specific mechanics of the Craigslist blueprint really dismantle those roadblocks.
Huh?
You do not need upfront capital because you do not buy the inventory.
Wait, what?
You acquire it through the free section.
Hold on, why would anyone just give away a functioning or easily repairable washing machine? That completely defies economic logic.
It defies pure financial logic, sure, but it aligns perfectly with the psychology of convenience.
Okay, explain that.
Think about the profile of the person posting a free appliance. They're usually someone who is moving in a huge hurry.
Like they sold their house and have to be out by tomorrow?
Right, or someone who just bought a brand new, highly expensive smart washer, or someone dealing with like an estate clearance after a relative passed away.
Oh, that makes sense.
For this person, the heavy appliance is no longer an asset. It is a massive, stressful liability.
Because it's just in the way.
Exactly. The delivery truck with their shiny new machine is arriving tomorrow morning. They do not want the hassle of negotiating with buyers. They do not want a bunch of strangers haggling in their garage for $20.
Right?
They simply want that heavy metal box to vanish immediately.
Yeah.
Their primary currency in that moment is not money. It is time and convenience.
Ah. So you step in and provide the convenience.
Precisely. You are performing spatial arbitrage.
Spatial arbitrage. Let me translate that. You are taking an item from a location where it has negative value because it's in their way,
Right.
and you're moving it to a marketplace where it has positive value.
Exactly. The strategy dictates that you obsessively monitor that free section, like refreshing it constantly.
Right.
When a valuable appliance is posted, speed is your ultimate weapon. You must be the first person to respond, and you must guarantee that you can remove the problem from their life today.
You literally say, I have a truck, I am leaving right now.
Yes. You drive over, you pick it up, and you bring it back to your workspace.
Okay, so you have muscled a free, heavy washing machine into your garage.
You're sweating, your back hurts.
Yeah, exactly. Now the actual work begins. Because the material is very clear that you cannot just slap it back onto the website dusty and covered in lint.
Absolutely not.
You have to acquire complete knowledge of the item. You clean it meticulously, inside and out.
This is where you actually add the value. Often, a vacuum cleaner is discarded simply because a $5 rubber drive belt snapped.
Right, the belt breaks and it stops sucking, so they throw it out.
Yeah, or a washing machine might just have a clogged water pump filter, maybe a coin or a sock is stuck in there, and it takes 10 minutes to clean out.
But the owner didn't know that.
Exactly. The previous owner didn't want to pay a professional repair technician $200 just to look at it, so they just gave it away.
Wow.
You invest a tiny amount of money in a small part, or just your own elbow grease to deep clean the machine, and suddenly a piece of trash becomes a highly desirable appliance.
And here is the absolute beauty of this model from a financial perspective. Because your acquisition cost was zero.
Literally zero.
Your profit margin is effectively 100%, well, minus a few dollars for some Windex or a minor rubber belt.
It's pure profit.
But, okay, what about the downside risk? Let's say I go pick up this massive Maytag washer, I drag it all the way home, I open up the back, and the main motor is completely seized. It is dead. Have I just wasted an entire afternoon and burdened myself with a giant piece of junk?
This is where the blueprint provides a brilliant built-in safety net.
Oh.
Even if the machine is catastrophically broken and completely unfixable, you still do not lose money.
How is that possible?
Because heavy appliances are made of steel, copper, and aluminum.
Ugh, scrap metal.
Yes, you can strip the machine down or simply take the entire unit, as is, to a local scrap metal yard. They will weigh it on a giant scale and pay you cash right there for the raw materials.
So you still get paid.
Exactly. The financial downside is effectively zero. The only thing you are risking is your physical labor and, a few hours of your time.
It is a perfect closed-loop system for generating initial capital.
I love that.
Yeah.
So, okay, the machine is clean, it is working, and you're ready to sell it. This brings us to the actual listing.
Right, the ad itself.
The material says your ad must function as your, quote, salesperson. Because when a buyer clicks on your ad, you are not physically there to pitch them. The text has to do all the heavy lifting.
And a great salesperson anticipates objections and resolves them before the customer even has to articulate them out loud.
Makes sense.
The material provides a very strict framework for this copy. You cannot be vague. You can't just say, whitewasher works good.
Right.
You must explicitly state the make, the exact model number, the brand, and the estimated age of the unit. But most importantly, and I found this counterintuitive, you must be brutally honest about any flaws.
Yes.
Like, if there is a scratch on the side, you photograph it and mention it specifically. Why highlight the flaws? Doesn't that just drive the price down?
Paradoxically, no. It actually builds immense trust.
Really?
Think about it. If you claim a 5-year-old appliance is in absolute, flawless mint condition, the buyer's internal alarm bells immediately go off.
Yeah, they're like, what are they hiding?
Exactly. They assume you are hiding something much worse, like a failing transmission.
Right.
By voluntarily disclosing a minor scratch, you signal transparency.
We're proving you're honest.
Right. The buyer feels they know exactly what they are getting, which makes them far more comfortable handing over their hard-earned cash.
That is so smart, which perfectly transitions into the pricing psychology.
Oh, this is the best part.
This is easily one of the most actionable insights in the entire guide. Let's look at the car example the material provides. Let's say you have an asset, a car or a washer, and you have calculated that you need to walk away with exactly $2,000 in your pocket to consider it a successful flip. The worst thing you can do is list the price at exactly $2,000.
Correct. You do not list it at $2,000. You list it at $2,900.
Almost $1,000 higher.
Yes. This utilizes a deeply ingrained cognitive bias known as anchoring.
Anchoring. Okay, let's break down the mechanics of anchoring. Why does the human brain fall for this?
Well, when humans are trying to evaluate the worth of something, especially something with a highly subjective value like a used car or a used appliance, we rely heavily on the very first piece of information we are given.
The anchor.
Exactly. That initial number becomes the anchor in our mind. All subsequent judgments and negotiations are measured against that anchor rather than against the item's true intrinsic value.
Right.
By setting the anchor at $2,900, you have structurally shifted the perceived value of the transaction upward in the buyer's brain.
So by setting that high anchor, you create two possible scenarios, and both of them result in a massive win for you.
Exactly.
Scenario A is the dream scenario. A buyer comes along, they urgently need the car, they see the $2,900 price tag, and they just pay it. They don't want the friction of negotiating.
In that scenario, you just generated $900 of pure, unanticipated surplus simply because of how you arranged the numbers on the screen.
Unbelievable. But scenario B is where the real magic of human psychology plays out.
It really is.
Because the vast majority of people browsing Craigslist are there specifically because they want the dopamine hit of getting a deal. They want to feel savvy. They want to haggle.
Oh, they love the game. So they look at your $2,900 anchor, they inspect the car, they kick the tires, and they puff up their chest and offer you $2,000.
Right.
They think they are lowballing you. They think they're taking advantage of a desperate seller.
So you pause, you pretend to agonize over it, maybe sigh heavily, rub your forehead, and then you say, okay, you drive a hard bargain, but I'll take $2,000.
Boom. You have just engineered a perfect win-win dynamic.
Because you got what you wanted anyway.
Right. You received the exact baseline amount of capital you required to make the flip profitable. But more importantly, the buyer walks away feeling like an absolute champion.
They're driving home thinking they stole from you.
Exactly. They just, quote, talked you down almost $1,000. They feel a massive sense of victory. And when both parties feel like they won, the transaction is smooth, fast, and completely conflict-free.
That is just Jedi mind trick level stuff. But the material is incredibly strict about the ethics of this local market. It lays down these golden rules of etiquette.
Yes, very important.
Speed is paramount. Once the item is sold, you pull the listing down immediately to stop wasting the time of other buyers. And if you are picking up a free item, you show up exactly when you say you will.
It is crucial to remember that despite being online, Craigslist is fundamentally a local, physical community.
Right. These are your neighbors.
Exactly. Your reputation, even if it's completely informal and unrated by stars on the site, it travels.
Yeah.
If you are known as the person who always flakes, or worse, the person who hides a broken transmission in a car or a burnt-out motor in a washing machine, you will eventually run out of runway.
People will stop dealing with you.
The material insists on absolute truthfulness because bad business practices will fundamentally collapse your leverage in a localized market.
Okay, so Craigslist is the mastery of physical leverage. It requires physical space, a vehicle, heavy lifting, and face-to-face negotiation.
It's very tactile.
But here's where it gets really interesting.
Okay.
What if you live in a tiny apartment on the 5th floor? What if you do not have a truck? What if you want to generate income sitting at your kitchen table, selling not just to your local zip code, but to the entire globe?
Then we have to shift our mental model entirely.
Yes. We are moving from the physical assembly line to the digital assembly line. We are diving into Fiverr.
This represents a massive, massive shift in how we apply leverage.
Right.
With Craigslist, you were leveraging spatial inefficiencies, right? Moving a physical object from a garage where it's unwanted to a buyer who wants it.
Right.
With Fiverr, you are leveraging temporal inefficiencies.
Temporal meaning time.
Exactly. You are trading your digital skills compressed into highly efficient time blocks to an open global marketplace.
The name itself tells the story here. The material explains it comes from the American slang term for a $5 bill, a fiver.
Right.
When the platform first launched, its entire unique selling proposition was that every single service, no matter what it was, cost exactly $5.
$5 for anything.
Now, I'm going to stop right here and apply some basic logic, because when I first read this, my jaw actually dropped.
I know what you're going to say.
If you are sitting at your computer doing customized work for a client, and your maximum gross revenue per transaction is $5, how is this not a digital sweatshop?
It's a very fair question.
Is this not mathematically worse than taking a minimum wage job at a fast food restaurant? I mean, flipping burgers pays more than $5 an hour.
If you approach Fiverr with the traditional freelance mindset,
Like an artist.
right, where every project is a bespoke, custom-crafted masterpiece, then yes, it is absolutely a digital sweatshop.
You'd starve.
You will burn out in a week, and you will make literal pennies an hour. But the material is very clear. Top sellers on Fiverr do not operate like traditional freelancers.
Where do they operate?
They operate like factory managers. It is entirely about the mathematics of volume and hyper-efficiency.
Okay, let's break down the exact math the guide provides, because this blew my mind.
Let's do it.
A buyer pays $5. Fiverr, as the platform providing the traffic and the payment gateway, takes a 20% cut.
Which is $1.
Right, leaving you with $4. The material points out that a top-rated seller can generate 300 orders in a single month. 300 times $4 is $1,200 a month.
$1,200 a month is a significant stream of secondary income. That pays a lot of bills.
It does.
But the material actually goes further. It notes that highly optimized sellers, working perhaps 4 to 5 hours a day, are pulling in $2,500 to $3,000 a month.
Working part-time.
Yes, and they are doing this by ruthlessly applying what the author calls the simple mathematics calculation.
This calculation changes the entire paradigm of what you should even attempt to sell. Let's walk through it.
Okay.
If your target is to make a relatively baseline living wage, say $15 an hour,
Sure.
and your net profit per transaction is roughly $5, you must, without fail, complete 3 distinct gigs every single hour.
3 times 5 is 15.
Which means the absolute maximum amount of time you can dedicate to any single task is 20 minutes.
20 minutes. That is the hard ceiling.
If a buyer orders a gig and it takes you 45 minutes to fulfill it, your hourly rate just plummeted well below minimum wage.
You are basically operating your business at a critical loss of temporal leverage at that point.
This completely disqualifies 90% of traditional digital work.
It really does. The material explicitly warns about what not to do.
Like what?
You cannot offer to debug complex website code.
Yeah.
You cannot offer to write a deeply researched 2,000-word blog post.
Because you can't control the time.
Exactly. Those tasks have unpredictable time horizons. You might hit a coding snag and spend 3 hours on a $5 task.
That would be a disaster.
You must exclusively offer fast turnaround, highly predictable services. You have to productize your skills.
Productize your skills. I like that.
The material highlights an extraordinary case study of a top seller whose entire business model was designing timeline graphics for Facebook business pages and simple promotional leaflets.
Right.
Over the course of a single year, this seller completed over 800 of these specific gigs.
Which begs the question, how is it humanly possible to design a custom graphic for a business in under 20 minutes? If I open Photoshop, it takes me 20 minutes just to pick a font.
Well, the secret is that they are not starting with a blank canvas.
Yeah.
Never.
Ooh.
To achieve that level of velocity, the seller has built an extensive library of pre-made templates, a massive folder of royalty-free background assets, and a highly streamlined intake form for the client.
So they do all the heavy lifting before the order even comes in?
Exactly. When a client orders a flyer for, say, a real estate open house, The seller isn't brainstorming color palettes. They open their real estate template folder.
Right.
They drag the client's logo into the placeholder, drop the property photo into the frame, type in the address, export the file as a PDF, and hit deliver.
Wow.
The actual active labor time is perhaps 6 minutes. That is how you turn a $5 platform into a $30 an hour, highly efficient digital assembly line.
You are trading pure creative exploration for absolute mechanical efficiency. You are a factory.
You have to be.
But let's talk about the mechanics of getting paid. Because unlike Craigslist, where someone is physically handing you $20 bills in a driveway, you are dealing with strangers across the globe.
Sometimes on the other side of the planet.
Right. So how does the system ensure you don't do the work and then the buyer just vanishes into the ether without paying?
This is one of the major advantages of operating within a structured marketplace like Fiverr. It acts as an escrow service.
Escrow, meaning a trusted middleman.
Yes. When a buyer decides they want your Facebook graphic, they cannot just message you and say, hey, start working. They must pay the $5 upfront via credit card to the platform itself.
Fiverr holds the money.
Fiverr locks those funds in a digital vault. Once you deliver the finished PDF through the platform's messaging system, the buyer reviews it. When they click accept, Fiverr automatically releases the funds to your internal dashboard, which you can then withdraw to a PayPal account.
So the counterparty risk of non-payment is entirely eliminated. You know the money is there before you even click open your templates. But the platform exacts a heavy toll for providing that security, and that toll is the rating system.
Oh, the rating system.
The entire ecosystem is driven by the algorithmic weight of social proof. You deliver the work, and the buyer leaves a thumbs up or a thumbs down. And this is not just a vanity metric like on Instagram.
No, it dictates your survival.
Explain that.
It is a binary, ruthless algorithm. In a global marketplace where thousands of people offer the exact same service like making a logo, the only differentiator the algorithm respects is past performance.
Who's done a good job before?
Right. A seller with 500 five-star reviews is pushed at the top of the search results and will receive a constant fire hose of new orders. But a seller who drops to a 3-star average,
What happens to them?
they will be buried on page 50 of the search results, effectively reducing their traffic to 0. Your rating is your most critical business asset. You must guard it with your life.
Which brings us to a really fascinating algorithmic loophole that the material reveals.
The cancellation strategy.
Yes, the money-back guarantee cancellation strategy. Let's say you deliver a graphic and the buyer is just utterly unreasonable.
It happens all the time.
They hate it, they refuse to accept revisions, and they leave a devastating thumbs-down review on your profile. That single negative review could cost you hundreds of dollars in future lost sales.
But the system has a pressure release valve.
What is it?
You can proactively reach out to that furious buyer and offer a mutual cancellation. You propose to completely void the transaction and refund their initial payment in full.
And the mechanical trick here is that the moment the order is officially categorized as canceled by the system, it is as if the transaction never occurred in the space-time continuum.
Yes?
That terrible business-destroying review instantly vanishes from your public profile.
It's gone. You are essentially sacrificing the immediate $5 revenue to protect the long-term integrity of your digital reputation. It is a highly strategic defensive maneuver.
But the material issues a severe expert warning regarding this tactic.
Yeah.
You cannot just use this as a blanket policy for every difficult client.
Oh no, the algorithm is watching.
We mean?
The public-facing algorithm may erase the review, but the internal back-end risk assessment algorithm tracks absolutely everything.
The hidden algorithm.
Yes, if you are canceling 10% of all your incoming orders, the system flags you as a highly volatile, risky seller. From the platform's perspective, you're creating a terrible user experience for their buyers who now have to go find another seller.
Right. Fiverr wants the transaction to happen so they get their cut.
Exactly. If your cancellation rate crosses a certain threshold, the algorithm will quietly shadow ban your profile, severely restricting your visibility in search results without even telling you.
Wow.
Therefore, the cancellation loophole is the nuclear option. It is only to be deployed in absolute emergencies.
So what's the better way?
The far superior strategy is aggressive, proactive communication to ensure the buyer is thrilled before the review is ever written.
Fix the problem before they hit the thumbs down. Okay, so you understand the 20-minute rule. You understand the escrow payment system. You understand how to defend your rating.
Check, check, check.
But There's a massive, seemingly insurmountable hurdle when you first launched your profile. We call it the first buyer problem.
It's a huge wall to climb.
You are a brand new profile. You have 0 reviews. You have no track record. Why on earth would a buyer risk their money and time on an unproven ghost when they can just click on the seller right next to you who has 1,000 5-star reviews?
I wouldn't.
Exactly. How do you overcome the cold start problem? The material suggests a tactic that is essentially a digital hustle.
It is a practical solution to a structural marketplace problem. The material argues that you must actively manufacture your own initial social proof.
Manufacture it.
Yes. You cannot just sit and wait for the algorithm to bless you with traffic. You literally recruit your own network. You ask your friends, your family members, your former colleagues to create buyer accounts. Go to your specific URL and purchase your first few gigs.
You literally call your brother and say, hey, can you go buy my logo design package for $5 right now?
Exactly. You deliver a piece of work to them through the system, and they leave you a glowing, perfectly articulated 5-star review.
But that costs money, right?
Yes, you're spending a few dollars, because Fiverr still takes its $1 cut each time, to artificially prime the pump of the algorithm.
Oh, I see.
When a genuine organic buyer finally stumbles across your profile, they do not see a ghost. They see a functioning business with a perfect 5-star rating and happy testimonials.
You create the illusion of momentum so that the algorithm can take over and provide real momentum.
It is brilliant, and it solves the immediate chicken and egg problem of having no reviews because you have no sales, and no sales because you have no reviews.
But you cannot rely on your family to fund your business forever.
No. Eventually, they'll stop taking your calls.
Right. You have to build an independent marketing funnel. You cannot be entirely reliant on Fiverr's internal search engine. The material outlines several ways to build external traffic.
Starting with the basics.
Right. Your gig description must be ruthlessly concise. Use bullet points. No one is reading a massive wall of text.
People are scanning, not reading.
Exactly. But the real leverage comes from building an external footprint.
Yes, the material strongly advises setting up a free, external blog or website that acts as a dedicated portfolio for your services. And it emphasizes the importance of basic search engine optimization.
SEO. Let's explain SEO simply for the listeners, focusing on the mechanics. It essentially means structuring the words on your website so that Google's algorithm understands exactly what problem you solve.
Right.
If your gig is formatting Kindle ebooks, you don't just write a poetic sentence like, I make books look pretty.
The algorithm doesn't know what that means.
Exactly. You write specific high-intent phrases like professional Kindle ebook formatting services in your headers and titles. That way, when an author searches that exact phrase on Google indexes your site, the author clicks your link, and your site funnels them directly to your Fiverr checkout page.
You are capturing traffic outside of the Fiverr ecosystem and bringing it in. You build a digital funnel.
The material also suggests seeding your links in relevant online forums, engaging on Twitter, Facebook, and crucially, utilizing video by creating a YouTube channel to demonstrate your expertise visually.
And this actually provides the perfect structural transition to the third and final blueprint.
It really does. Because we have traversed an interesting path of leverage here.
We have.
Craigslist was physical trading and spatial arbitrage.
Moving heavy things.
Right. Fiverr was the digital assembly line and temporal compression, racing the clock.
Yes.
But YouTube is an entirely different universe. If you are building a YouTube channel, you are no longer trading your time for money directly. You are entering the realm of scalable media leverage. You are building a long-term passive audience.
The contrast in the feedback loop is what shocks most beginners here. If we look at the mechanics of the first two platforms, the feedback is immediate. On Craigslist, you post a washing machine at noon, and you can literally have $200 cash in your hand by dinner time.
Very fast.
On Fiverr, you post a gig, you manufacture a few reviews, and you might get an organic order the next day. They are highly transactional. But YouTube
is slow.
YouTube is the absolute antithesis of transactional. The material makes a profound point right at the beginning of this section. You absolutely cannot approach a YouTube channel with the primary goal of generating quick cash.
Why not?
The system will actively reject you.
Right. The material states that if you are just doing it for the money and you are secretly miserable or fed up with the topic, the audience will instinctively sense it. It acts as a massive, quote, downer for the viewer.
We have all experienced this as consumers.
Oh, totally. You click on a video, and within 10 seconds, you can tell the person on screen is dead behind the eyes, just reading a script they don't care about, desperately trying to stretch the video to the 8-minute mark just to insert more mid-roll ads.
Exactly. Human beings have a highly evolved, almost subconscious authenticity detector.
An authenticity detector.
Yes. Through microexpressions, vocal tonality, and body language, an audience can instantly discern genuine enthusiasm from mercenary behavior.
You can't fake it.
You really can't. If you do not have a deep, intrinsic interest in the subject matter, you simply will not be able to generate the sheer volume of energy required to project through a camera lens.
It takes a lot of energy.
But more importantly, you will not have the psychological endurance to survive the desert.
The desert. Let's talk about the desert. That's those first 6 to 12 months where you are spending 40 hours a week scripting, filming, and editing videos. And the algorithm is serving them to absolutely no one. You are broadcasting into a void.
Precisely. It is grueling.
That is why the material insists that before you even pick up a camera, you must clearly define what your personal metric for success is, completely independent of financial return.
You have to know your why.
Are you trying to educate a specific group of people? Are you trying to master the technical skill of video editing for yourself? Are you simply trying to make yourself laugh?
You must anchor your motivation to an intrinsic goal. That is the only way to push through the inevitable algorithmic hindrances and failures.
So, okay, assuming you have the passion to survive the desert, how do you actually get the algorithm to notice you?
This is where strategy comes in.
Because the instinct for almost everyone starting out is to cast the widest net possible. You think, I want millions of subscribers, so I need to make content that appeals to millions of people.
Right. Broad appeal.
I will make videos about video games and occasionally cooking and maybe some travel vlogs on Fridays. But the material states unequivocally that this is a fatal error. You have to niche down. You have to know your specific viewers.
Going broad is a fundamental misunderstanding of how recommendation engines work.
Let's look at the mechanics of the YouTube algorithm then.
Okay. The algorithm's primary objective is to keep a specific user on the platform as long as possible. To do that, it needs to understand exactly who your video is for.
Makes sense.
If you upload a gaming video on Monday, a cooking video on Wednesday, and a travel vlog on Friday, the algorithm has no idea how to categorize your channel.
It's confused.
Extremely confused. So it tries showing your Wednesday cooking video to the gamers who watched Monday's video. And what did the gamers do?
They instantly click away because they want gaming, not cooking.
Exactly. This plummets your click-through rate and your average view duration. And those two metrics dropping signals to the algorithm that your content is terrible.
So going broad actually destroys your algorithmic leverage.
It's the fastest way to kill a channel.
Give me an example of the opposite then. How does hyper-niching actually accelerate growth?
Okay, imagine you decide to start a cooking channel.
Okay.
If you try to make general weeknight dinner recipes, you are competing in a saturated ocean against multi-million-dollar production companies and celebrity chefs. You will be buried.
Right, you can't beat Gordon Ramsay.
But suppose you decide to create a channel dedicated exclusively to baking historically accurate medieval bread recipes using period-correct tools.
Okay, that is an absurdly narrow demographic.
It is microscopic compared to the general population. However, well, let's look at the data signals.
Okay.
When you upload your first video about a 14th century sourdough starter, the algorithm tests it with a tiny seed audience.
Who is in that seed audience?
People who have previously watched historical reenactment videos or highly niche baking content.
Ah.
And because your content is perfectly tailored to their highly specific obsession, the click-through rate on your thumbnail skyrockets. Instead of watching for 30 seconds and clicking away, they watch the entire 20-minute video.
Because it's exactly what they want.
Yes, your average view duration goes through the roof.
And the algorithm looks at those massive positive signals and says, wow, this specific cohort of people absolutely loves this video. Let's find 10,000 more people exactly like them and put this on their homepage.
Exactly. You are feeding the machine a crystal clear signal. By dominating an incredibly specific, hyper-narrow niche, you completely eliminate your competition.
Because no one else is making medieval bread.
Right. You become the absolute, undeniable authority in that microspace. It is far more profitable and algorithmically sound to have 1,000 obsessive superfans who watch every single upload than 10,000 casual viewers who barely remember your channel name and scroll past your thumbnails.
That reframes the entire strategy of content creation. It is about depth of connection, not width of appeal.
Depth over width, always.
So, you have found your medieval bread niche. The material highlights a series of habits that separate the creators who succeed from those who burn out.
Yes, the daily habits.
Networking is one treating other creators not as competitors, but as colleagues. Leaving thoughtful comments, arranging collaborations to cross-pollinate audiences.
Very important for early growth.
But the habit that profoundly shifts the perspective is what the book calls Habit 6, assess.
This is where content creation transitions from art to applied science.
Yes. Because the vast majority of creators operate on assumption. They guess what their audience might like, spend weeks making it, and if it fails, they just blindly guess again.
Just throwing spaghetti at the wall.
Right. But the material argues that you must treat your channel as a laboratory. You experiment, and then you ruthlessly assess the data.
Let's unpack the scientific method of content.
Please do.
You do not just stick to one format forever. You run tests. Maybe for your medieval channel, 1 week you do a highly cinematic, silent baking video set to period music.
Very moody.
Right. The next week, you do a fast-paced, documentary-style voiceover explaining the political history of the grain itself.
A completely different vibe.
And the week after that, you do a casual, direct-to-camera vlog where you just answer viewer comments about the mud ovens. You launch these distinct variables into the ecosystem.
And then you wait and see what happens.
And then you open your analytics dashboard. The data removes all emotion from the process. You look at the graphs.
What are you looking for?
Did the cinematic video lose 80% of its audience in the first 2 minutes? Did the historical documentary have a huge spike in engagement halfway through? Which thumbnail had the highest click-through rate?
You are measuring popularity with empirical evidence.
Exactly. And when you identify an anomaly, when the data clearly shows that the audience is heavily skewing toward the documentary format, you don't just note it as an interesting fact.
You pivot.
You pivot hard. You double down. You formulate a new hypothesis based on that data, and you refine the product. It is a relentless, continuous cycle of experimentation, measurement, and refinement.
And this brings us to the final, necessary condition for survival in scalable media, which the material labels Habit 7. Enjoy.
The most important habit.
If you are executing the scientific method, analyzing data, and filming for months on end, the cognitive load is immense. If the fundamental act of creating the video does not bring you joy, your system will break down.
You will quit.
But if you do enjoy it, the leverage is unparalleled. You are utilizing a free global distribution network to generate scalable income simply by documenting your own genuine obsessions.
It's an incredible time to be alive, really.
So what does this all mean for you? We have journeyed through 3 vastly different models of escaping the 9-to-5. We have looked at physical leverage on Craigslist, temporal leverage on Fiverr, and scalable media leverage on YouTube.
3 different paths to the same destination.
But accumulating this knowledge is essentially useless without execution.
Action is everything.
The material concludes with a massive psychological challenge for the reader. It is called the 24-hour rule.
This is the critical juncture where theory must translate into action. The author notes a depressing statistic. The vast majority of people who consume this material, who read the book or listen to this deep dive, will feel a temporary surge of inspiration, and then they will do absolutely nothing.
They'll just go to sleep and wake up for work.
Right. The challenge mandates that you must take one concrete, physical action toward implementing these blueprints within the next 24 hours.
It addresses the trap of the illusion of competence. Your brain releases dopamine when you learn a new concept, tricking you into feeling like you have actually accomplished something.
That you haven't.
No. Unless you physically set up the Craigslist account or build the Fiverr template or film the first terrible YouTube video, this information just becomes another piece of media consumed and forgotten on the shelf. Your life remains entirely unchanged.
To physically escape the 9-to-5, you have to physically build the infrastructure for multiple streams of income. You have to move from consumer to producer.
Let's rapidly synthesize the core mechanical models we have discussed so you have a clear schematic to act upon right now. If your path is Craigslist, your leverage is physical and spatial. Be incredibly fast on the draw, deeply understand the technical aspects of a specific niche like home appliances, and utilize the psychological anchoring of pricing to engineer win-win negotiations.
And use the free section to entirely eliminate your upfront capital risk and guarantee a 100% profit margin.
Yes. Now, if you choose to leverage your time on Fiverr, you must adopt the mindset of a factory manager. It is a digital assembly line. Apply the simple mathematics calculation to guarantee your hourly rate break every single digital service down into components that require 20 minutes or less of active labor.
Protect your algorithmic rating with extreme prejudice, understanding exactly when to deploy the cancellation loophole to prevent shadow banning, and aggressively manufacture your own initial social proof to overcome the cold start problem.
And finally, if you are drawn to the immense scalable leverage of YouTube, understand that you are embarking on a multi-year marathon. Do not chase broad trends, hyper-niche down to establish dominance with a specific seed audience.
Apply the scientific method to your content test variables, assess the algorithmic data, and ruthlessly refine your formats. Above all, ensure your intrinsic passion drives the process so your authenticity detector registers as genuine to the viewer.
When you step back and look at the architecture of all three of these platforms, what is truly revolutionary is the utter democratization of leverage.
It's unprecedented in human history. Historically, building a business required massive gatekeepers. You needed a bank to approve a loan, a landlord to lease you a storefront, or a credentialing board to give you a degree.
Craigslist, Fiverr, and YouTube have structurally annihilated those gatekeepers. The platforms are entirely free to access. The global distribution network is already built and functioning.
The infrastructure is just sitting there waiting for someone to plug their effort into it.
Which brings us full circle right back to that cold reality we started with. That visceral feeling of staring blankly at the ceiling when the alarm clock screams at 6 in the morning.
We all know that feeling.
We have just spent the last hour meticulously dismantling the hidden mechanics of how people use free internet platforms to engineer full-time incomes. We have looked at the speed of spatial arbitrage, the strategy of temporal compression, and the psychology of scalable media. The blueprints are clear, the barrier to entry is effectively zero, and the tools require nothing more than a standard internet connection.
No excuses left.
So as you move on with your day, I will leave you with this final provocative thought to mull over. If the structural barriers to generating independent income are truly this low, if the gatekeepers are gone and the blueprints are public, what is the actual psychological cost of choosing to stay in a 9-to-5 job that you do not love?